Alright, on team, let's talk. Who's this guy? Who's this goon? Kindly's place reeks of stale cigar smoke and fresh urine. What a classy establishment. The clicking of mahjong tiles is strangely absent. In its place is a low murmur of laughter and an air of eager anticipation. All eyes are focused on the groaning figure kneeling bloody and bound at the feet of Kindly Chang. He is standing upright. She beckons to him with her finger, and he struggles towards her, the loud rustling of the plastic tarp crackling under his knees as he moves. His pants are wet with fear. And I don't know how you say this word. Whatever. I'm an uneducated buffoon. A torch lies at the table of Kindly's right hand. Kindly Chen ignores the scene. She behaves as if all is right in the world. How did you sleep, my little ones? Like a baby, Auntie. I'm still in the afterglow of our tour of the walled city. The Triad's boss' eyes turn to half-moons of amusement. Afterglow, really? She nods her head back towards the pillar of meat standing behind her. Then you should be delighted to say hello to your old friend, Strangler Bao. He's here because of you. How very pleasant to see. What's up? What's up, Beef? Strangler Bao's eyes widen until they're more white than color. There's raw hatred written there. Cheng's demeanor changes in a heartbeat. Her amused expression drops like acid rain. Mr. Bao is an honored member of the Yellow Lotus, whereas you are an outsider. Uh-huh. Her head pushes forward on her neck, a disposable outsider. Well then, now that the niceties are over, let's get to the nasties. She indicates to the kneeling man with an incline of her nose. Shitbird here is a plainclothes cop. He snuck into the area last night while you were sleeping, hoping to find you and kill you before his competition got to you first. My men found him outside the trawler you were sleeping on. They saw to it that your rest was undisturbed and that your location remained a mystery. She nods her head back towards the pillar of meat standing behind her. You can thank Mr. Bao for that. Thank you for guaranteeing our safety, Mr. Bao. That's better. She addresses the bloody man on his knees. Now, shitbird, tell my friends here what you told me. I don't know anything, I swear. We just got the orders in last night. He pushes his head towards you. I'm surprised he's gotten a fucking portrait, because he's, like, dead in about 5 minutes. He pushes his head toward you and Wu from the floor, struggling to keep his balance. Somebody high up wants these two dead. The whole department is in on it. I don't know anything else. Someone from high up? The old woman lifts her foot, taps his chin with the toe of her shoe. How high? The cop looks at her, looks around the room filled with Triad soldiers. One of them opens his coat and shows the cop something inside. He slowly closes it and winks. The cop drops his head to his chest. All the way up. It's someone on the council. Someone on the executive council wants these two dead? Chang spits on him with a sneer. Fuck your ancestors to the 18th generation. Give me the truth. The cop wears the spittle. He lifts his head high. It's the truth, madam, I swear it. Whoever it was labeled them as terrorists. We're to terminate them with extreme prejudice. Kindly Chang shuffles closer to the kneeling cop, who reaches down and strokes his head with her hand. Then she slowly digs her fingers into his scalp. She pulls back hard until his chin points high. The Triad boss leans in close and searches his eyes with her own. That's all he's got. She then lets go of his head and smooths his buzzed cut with her hand. For whatever reason, last night, someone on the executive board of the Free Enterprise Zone ordered the Hong Kong police force to kill 2 nobodies from Seattle. I find that fascinating, don't you? Yes, but why the need to label us international terrorists? She strokes the policeman's cheek with the back of her hand. Her rusty voice becomes sweet as she explains the way of the world. Property, my darlings. When the government has someone gunned down, they prefer to make it appear justified. The people feel safer when their murderers feel like part of civilization. My, but you have definitely fallen into the deep end of the pool. Seattle isn't like Hong Kong. There, the megacorps control the government. Here, the corps are the government. There is functionally no difference. Don't try and schmooze me like this. Fucking one corporation basically owns the world. The exec council is chosen by the corporate board of governors. They're basically the legislative and executive branches of the Hong Kong government in one tiny package. 8 people call all the shots, neat and efficient. There's one corp that is literally owned by a fucking dragon. Kindly Cheng steps back from the cop. Not the corpse. He's about to be a corpse, but he's not a corpse yet. Steps back from the cop and lights the thin end of her black cigar. For the wage slaves and the civilian sheep, the corporations are a pantheon of gods who wield absolute power. She looks around the room, but not for us. The triad woman takes a long pull from the cigar and taps her ash on the kneeling cop's head. Who else knows about my guest's visit to Hayway, shipbird? No one, madam. I hadn't called it in yet. I wanted the kill for myself. No one knows they're here. I swear it. Mr. Bao. Bao fiddles with the PDA in his meaty hands. He's telling the truth. No outgoing calls on his PDA. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Bao. She nods to the cop. Thank you for your honesty. In one smooth motion, Strangler Bao produces a silenced pistol, fires it once into the policeman's head, and replaces it in his jacket. His face never changes expressions. I wasn't wondering that. Looks like the triads can be just as efficient. Yes, my darling. She places her cigar on her shot glass, picks up some mahjong tiles, and begins playing with them absently. It is clear that our friend Raymond Black was up to something involving the walled city, something having to do with prosperity. And this executive council member wanted Raymond dead for it. She stacks her tiles one by one, click-clack. Now they want you dead for it, too. This plastic-faced man may show up on your door one day, too. She knocks the pile over. It clatters to the table loudly. I have a proposal for you, my sweeties. Work for me. With Nightjar and Gutshot dead, I find myself with 2 job openings. Fill them. I have need of deniable assets here, people unaffiliated with the triads who can take some of the more unsavory business needs about town. You've proven yourself resourceful, and you have no existing connections here. That can be positive in this line of work. Shadowrunners. Wu grunts, his jaw tightens, but he stays quiet. In exchange, I will keep you safe from pests like this one. She nods at the body of the floor. The pool of the blood on the white plastic wrap continues to widen. Oh, they did put plastic wrap there. How nice of them. She picks up a handful of tiles again. And while you dip your toe into the waters of corporate espionage, organized crime, and clandestine mercenary actions, I will employ my network to find the plastic-faced man and gather information about Raymond Black. Where he's been to, who he's talked to, who stood to gain from his death, what this prosperity could be. You're putting out a lot of effort to help a pair of foreigners. Not foreigners, my sweet, valued business associates. I need to learn who killed one of my clients and then order the cops to execute my team of Shadowrunners. Her voice drops and becomes deadly serious. This is a brazen disregard of my power. Face dictates it must be confronted, or I stand to lose everything. We're Westerners. Isn't that a liability in this line of business? Oh, no, on the contrary. There's a good market for out-of-town talent that's just waiting to be exploited. Plus you're unknown. A surprise, if you will. I find the right jobs for people with your talents. You do what our clients cannot do for themselves. I take a finder's fee and a small percentage of your earnings. You make a lot of new yen very quickly. It's all very civilized. Work for me. Allow me to help you make money. Let my network work for you, and to help you find out what you've gotten yourselves into. Without my help, you won't last a day out there. You are completely out of your depth, I'm afraid. You need a partner. Kindly Chang will be your partner. Wu's hands go to his hips. He drops his head and shakes a little confused. I gotta wrap my brain around this, Lou. Things are moving fast. There's a lot to process. Come on, Wu. You and me, on the streets together again. I know, I get it. I just gotta reconcile this whole... He grips the back of his neck, squeezes hard, rips his hands away. Fuck it. I'm not a cop anymore. That guy's dead. He nods. The decision's made. I'm in. What about you? Yeah, there's good money in the shadows. It's about time I cashed in. It's all about the new yen, huh? Not surprised. That's cool, but it's not where my head's at. Not at all. Raymond is alive, I'm sure of it, so I'll run the shadows as long as Auntie Cheng keeps her end of the bargain and helps us figure out what really happened to it. Then I'm going to find my father. Then it's done. Hey-oi is now open to you. She gestures to her lieutenant, who raises a finger to her ear and whispers into her sleeve. First order of business. Lou Elliott and Duncan Wu don't exist anymore. You'll need street names. Yeah, okay, I'll think of something. Yeah, Gun Show. Yeah, I figured that was going to be it. I think we've already got you covered, Gun Show. Fits, doesn't it? Indeed. I knew that was going to stick. It has stuck. Got it. Isabel, we'll handle this the same way we did with all your previous work. She didn't say Nightjar. All the jobs I line up for you will be sent to your computer on the squat boat. She's pointing at you. I got it. Why him? It's a simple process of elimination. Isabel isn't the leader type. You got that right. As for Gobbet, let's just say Gobbet doesn't have a head for business. Not my thing. And then there's Gun Show. The jury's out on Gun Show. Meaning? Her response is direct, straightforward. Meaning there's a lot going on within that head of yours right now, and I'm not sure I can trust you. So I'm in charge because I'm the best of the worst? Oh, my sweet, don't put it that way. She opens her arms. You're the most equipped for the role. She's making sense. You're the right person for this, though. Alright, guess I'm running the show. I got a handle back in the Barrens. Coyote. Guess it's time I dusted it off. Wu shakes his head. Eyebrows raised. Gonna be weird calling you Coyote again. Haven't called you that since we were kids. Gobbet looks from Isabel to Wu to you. I guess this is our new crew. The rat on her shoulder scurries to the top of her head for a better view. Welcome to the shadows, Coyote. Great talk, team. Kindly Chang regards you coldly and... As much as I love your company, I have business to attend to. Clear the hell out of here and go get settled in. Fair enough. Do we have any money currently? Oh, we can look at other people now? Great. So, it's way simpler to advance these people. Gobbet spends some time at the firing range, increasing her range combat skill and SMG specialization by 1. Spirits will never break away in the first 2 rounds after summoning them. That's pretty sick. The chance is very low in general, though, so it might be better to go with that. We've already got another shaman as well, so, like, yeah. Confirm that one. Confirm all. Like, does this stick? That sticks. Okay. So, Isabel's grenade launcher can now fire remote mines, which can be triggered to detonate at will. Isabel gains the Tar Buster 1.0 program, an updated version of the blaster that also sticks to enemies in place for 1 round. So, that's pretty cool, but she is literally the only person in our team that can do any kind of hacking, so she better be fucking good at it. And then this boy, Duncan gains an assault rifle ability that fires a single shot of incendiary ammo, deals an additional 2 damage and pierces up to 2 armor, costs 1 AP, cooldown 2. Duncan gains a rifle ability that deals 2 AP damage and imbalances targets, making them easier to hit on subsequent attacks. This cannot do critical damage. We've no shortage of damage, so let's take the CC. Confirm. Okay, great. So, do we have any money right now? 781 new yen. I don't think that's enough to really do anything of note with. I have a fetish, right? Yeah. All is good. Alright, we're gonna go back to the boat. Unless something's like lurking out here. Crew advancement. I've already done it. I'm way ahead of you. Alright, let's go back to the boat, team. There's no shopping to be done just yet. Once we've got some actual fucking money. Then we'll go buy everyone a new shiny gun. What's in the hatch? Hey, man. It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic, ionized air and lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted the space into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and Duraplast extruders line the walls, and a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hang from the ceiling. A man in a black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a sturdy workbench. He addresses you without turning. I was wondering when I'd meet the new neighbor. His voice is pleasant, cultured. There's a hint of a Russian accent in there. Oh, I can't do a Russian accent, but it's buried under layers of nuance. Please stay where you are. I'll be with you in just a moment, and unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. There are all manners and tools in here that could take your hand clean off. Take your time. I won't touch anything. You're very kind. Thank you. Let's immediately touch it. The feed on the monitor looks like some sort of design software. You can see what appears to be a slim, spidery appendage in an orthographic and perspective views. Very good, yes, that's coming along nicely. Very nicely indeed. Oh, fuck, look at this guy. He turns towards you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. He has broadly handsome Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flicks of ice. So sorry to have you kept you waiting, Mr. Coyote. It's no problem. Don't worry about it. You're too kind. Now tell me, what can I do for you? His voice trails off as a flash of motion catches his eye. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles out from under the work table. Its movements are surprisingly agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its four legs in a clear sign of aggression. The man smiles. A smile tilts, and his tone goes apologetic. Please don't mind the drone. He can be territorial. But so long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends a hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes into a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Killing legs. Ractor. My mechanical counterpart here is called Koschei. A pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to the touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am very pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Heoi, it's important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Yes, absolutely. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions if you have the time. He glances at the bracer on his forearm. A technical display winks to life, then gutters out. Very well. This morning's casting shall still be cooling for a few minutes yet. That's enough time to talk. You've got some interesting machinery in here. Not the kind that you typically see outside of corporate settings. He smiles. The same could be said of many in Heoi. I'm sure this is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things that they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you out of curiosity? The robotic arms over there, they look like they've taken something from an automotive assembly plant. His smile flashes brilliantly in light. Good guess. That's precisely what they are. They fell off a boat, you might say. Miraculously, they still work. They weren't cheap, but I acquired them and had them mounted to the walls of my shop. I simply had to have them. The return on investment has been quite dramatic. Yes, they're cruder by far than the Waldo devices that I used in my professional life, but they still do the job, and they are mine. He gazes lovingly at the industrial arm, still smiling. They have increased my fabrication capabilities nearly tenfold, and that, to me, is worth any price. Koschei is an interesting name for a drone. Yes, I suppose it is. Not many riggers would name their most prized possessions after a villain from a fairy tale. A nod to my heritage, I suppose. Sad days. What was the fairy tale about? A thoroughly unpleasant person. Koschei was the Deathless, he was called, and for good reason. His soul was cleverly hidden outside of his body, and he could not be killed so long as it remained intact. Ah, yes, a phylactery. I am familiar with liches. A techno-lich would be fucking radical. Koschei was a villain, and a notorious kidnapper of women, but something about him always stuck with me. I suppose it was the notion of immortality through cleverness that resonated. There was something to be learned from that, I was sure, and so, when it came time to name my beloved creation, his was the first name that came to mind. And is your drone deathless, like its namesake? In a manner of speaking, I suppose that he is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core programming is stored on disk in a secret location. Should he ever suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once to automate the self-repair process. I must confess it was really quite ingenious, but alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Koschei will become as deathless as the stories claim. But it will not be today. I mean, I wanted to say, can I do that, because I want some money, but I guess that's not an option right now. Morning's casting, what did you mean? Exactly what I said. A casting that I made of a new locomotive assembly for Koschei. He gestures at the display above the work table. A biomimetic design, as you can see. This one is inspired by the walking legs of a decapod crustacean, the mangrove crab, to be specific. That's fascinating. And will this new leg assembly make your drone more effective? That remains to be seen, but there is more to life than combat effectiveness, is there not? By fabricating new components for Koschei, I unlock options. Different ways of being, even the failures, and there have been many, have value in this context. How did you learn to do all of this? More training and experience than I care to mention. He offers you a wry smile. Drone architecture was once my profession, you see. Now it's more of a calling. One that I'm free to pursue, now that I've freed myself from the shackles of corporate servitude. You said that you used to work for a corp. Whose payroll were you on? That is something of a sore subject. My departure was involuntary, you see. I did not part ways with my employer under the best of terms. I will tell you that I worked for Grecian Aviacor. I used to know what all the corporations did, but I don't know what the fuck they do anymore. Doesn't ring a bell. But you'll forgive me if I don't want to go into detail. Are you Russian? I caught a hint of an accent there. Ah, you have a good ear. I'm impressed. Yes, I grew up in Nizhny Novgorod. Novgorod. That's the one. I wanted to say Novigrad, but that's not it. That's not it at all. Went to school there. Started my career there in the industrial sector. A fairly common story, I'm sure. But I have also traveled a great deal, and in so doing I have absorbed a number of other languages and dialects. If you were born and raised in Russia, what brings you to Hong Kong now? The same thing that attracts many to the free enterprise zone. Opportunity. You yourself are a recent transplant, are you not? Your Cantonese is heavily accented in the style of many UCAS expats. That isn't a criticism, mind you, it's just a statement of fact. Yes, I'm new here, not by choice. Ah, then I am sorry for you, but not overly sorry. There are a great many places in this world that would be far worse to wind up in. If you have to be marooned somewhere, you're lucky to be in Hong Kong. Trust me on that, my friend. I have traveled broadly enough to know. How keeping all of this machinery running can't be cheap. How can you afford it? Freelance. At the risk of sounding immodest, I've commodified myself rather well. There are always corporations in need of design consultations. You'd be surprised by how lucrative such work can be. And there is always other work that I can turn to in a pinch. You said you did other work besides consulting. Care to tell me what kind? He pauses, and for a second something flashes in his eye. Koschei lowers its body into a crouch. A rather personal question, wouldn't you say? Maybe, but then we're having a personal conversation. Indeed we are, but even in personal conversations, certain topics can be held off limits. Truth be told, I don't feel especially comfortable discussing my side work with relative strangers. Suffice to say that it is my freelance activities that often fall on the illicit side of the spectrum. Tell you what, I'm just gonna guess. You're a Shadowrunner, aren't you? Gives you a shallow nod. I dislike the term, but yes, I run the shadows. What gave me away? Your drone, people on the up and up, don't build murder bots for fun. No, that's quite rude sounding. Nothing in particular. I just get that feeling. Interesting. Well, your intuition is correct, and as I said, now I'm going to use mine. You're a Shadowrunner as well, but you're new to the profession, am I correct? Yes, on all counts. Koschei scuttles forward, its glowing red eyes low to the ground, light glints off of the metal of its armored chassis. Rector runs a hand over the drone's killing legs, caressing the sculpted metal with his fingertips. I earn my living in the shadows. I suspected that everyone on this boat does. If we were suited for a more pedestrian line of work, we wouldn't be in hey-oi At the risk of sounding immodest, Koschei's aptitude for butchery is quite impressive. He earns me all that I need and more. Seems like everybody on this boat runs the shadows. Why not pool our resources and work together? He purses his lips, considering. A compelling offer. I'm doing quite well on my own, but I must admit there are certain jobs for which I am unsuited. Magic eludes me, and I'm not a decker. My strength comes from material objects in the real world, solid things with mass and heft, things that I can build and operate. He would nicely round out our team, because we've got the street samurai, we've got 2 shamans currently, and we've got a decker. So, if we just got 1 engineer, nice. Solid things with mass and heft, things I can build and operate. Sadly, a great many clients are only interested in teams that display a mastery over the intangible. This group of yours, do you have people who can cover those bases? If so, perhaps we can help each other out. Yes, we have a shaman and a decker, both competent at their jobs. I'm also a shaman, I want you to know. In that case, I will accept your offer on a provisional basis. We'll do a few runs together and see how we get on. If our association bears fruit, it will continue. If not, I will bid you farewell and go back to working alone. How does that sound? Welcome aboard. Very good. Excellent. When you receive a job, you know where to find me. My skills and resources are at your disposal. And with that, I'm afraid I must bid you good day. I still have work to do down here. This leg assembly won't clean itself. I'll be in touch. Looking forward to working with you. And I with you. What a profitable day it's been. I will not invade his personal space by barging into the other room. Alright. Let's have a gander. What you got? Biotech +1 and dodge. So. Rector's drone. Koschei gains a +5 accuracy bonus for all attacks. Koschei's drone gains +1 movement speed, moving 7 tiles per 1 AP. I like that. Rotary saw. Well, let's see what it gains on, like, the melee side, right? And that'll decide for us. Drains goes a mounted saw blade armed in the melee systems. This attack's critical chance is greatly boosted. Okay. Gains clawed feet. This causes all attacks on them to bleed targets. Gains a new ability where its legs latch on and tear armor away from the target. And up here we got shotgun attachment, which deals an additional 2 damage at the cost of -5 accuracy. Can hit adjacent targets at a range of 6 or greater. +2 AP. Okay. All of Kestrok's firearm systems now pierce up to 2 armor. Koschei's firearm systems are augmented with the addition of a heavy laser mount. It deals +4 HP damage, +1 AP damage. I like the movement speed. Movement speed's never bad, you know? And the melee side's pretty cool. We've already got gun stuff up here, so, you know. Melee for the drone might be good. The drone, I also imagine, is a lot more expendable than Duncan is. So, it's been a productive day so far. Let's look at what we're going to do for the first mission.